All right, I think we're live for episode 2 of Someone's Good Books, the show that shines a light on really good books released during a challenging time. Thanks for joining me, everybody. I'm your host, Joel A. Sutherland, author of the best-selling Haunted Canada series, and the person who's most likely to panic buy Ghostbuster dress shirts in bulk. My
Those
guest
are
today
great.
thank you so much.
Pandemic or not, great to see you.
Yeah, we've got the logo, we got Stay Puft here, we've got some Slimers, and of course Ecto-1, the car driving around as well.
Amazing. I feel like I'm wearing a bright color, but I feel underdressed in comparison.
Well, don't worry. I'm sure your answers will more than make up for any of that.
Okay, good save. What good host you are, Joel.
I'm trying my best. I'm learning as I go, Vikki. Well, my guest today is Vikki VanSickle, the author of a number of acclaimed novels for children, including Words That Start With B, Summer Days, Starry Nights, the award-winning The Winnowing, and If I Had a Griffin. Vikki balances her writing career with her job as marketing director at Penguin Random House Canada Young Readers. Vikki lives in Toronto with a cat named Barb, who does not care for teddy bears or magic.
No, she also does not care for me doing interviews, so she may come by, in which case I'll have to hold her up.
Please do. That's one thing I've learned doing Zoom meetings from home over the last month or so, is that people love a good cat bomb.
Yes.
They just jump in.
Yes. Yeah. I try to provide it as a service to people.
All right. Well, welcome to the show, Vikki. Thanks so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. If anyone watching wants to say hello or has any questions for Vikki, please post them in the chat, and we'll try to get to them at some point. So other than that, without any further ado, should we get started?
Yes.
Let's do it. All right. It's time to get into Someone's Good Books. First question for you, Vikki. Mm-hmm. Teddy Bear of the Year. Your newest book was published by Tundra on January 21st, 2020. In keeping with the name of this show, what makes it a good book?
Well, I think what makes it a good book is it's a really great blend of story, and by story I mean text and illustration. That's one of the things I love the most about writing picture books. I write a lot of different kinds of books, but picture books is really a collaboration, and it's such a privilege to have these amazing artists sort of take your words and build a whole world on it. My background is in theater, and I always talk about writing a picture book as in writing a play. When you write a play, you don't necessarily direct it, cast it, do costume or set design. That's a bunch of other people. And I sort of get the same feeling when I'm writing a picture book. Is I've built this set, and Sydney Hansen, who's the illustrator, did an amazing job. It's very cozy. I wanted the story to be sort of a feel-good story about small acts of kindness. I think we focus a lot on really, really big things that people do, which is important. But when you're a kid, especially, sometimes it can feel really outside your realm of possibility. And I know personally that some of the things that I remember the most in my life were the tiny acts of kindness, or the tiny things that people did for me. And so I wanted to write a story that sort of encompassed that and had that sort of cozy, fun sort of feeling. And I think we did it together. So I'm really happy with it.
Fantastic. Yeah. The illustrations are absolutely charming and beautiful as well. Yeah. Good stuff. Excellent. All right. Well, I've got to ask, what's it been like having a book released during a global pandemic? It's a very unusual time, isn't it?
It is unusual. And at first, I was a little bit sad about it. I do a lot of events, as you know. I really enjoy in-person story times and working with kids and being in libraries and schools. And we had so much fun with it. I was able to do a few events before the pandemic sort of took over. And we were doing sort of teddy bear style picnics, which I've always loved. And so that was really fun. But on the other hand, I've been able to do interviews like this. This is my first interview, so thank you for having me. And story times and sort of virtual story times. And what's been interesting about that is people who maybe didn't have access or weren't living close to where I was going are able to sort of get a somewhat live in-person experience. And so you can reach a bigger audience. And so that was an unexpected silver lining. And I have been enjoying that quite a bit.
Yeah, that's good. So my day job's working in a library, and we've been doing story times live in the morning. And it's been really interesting because we've had so many people from the community joining, but we've had people join from across the country and even from other countries. I think the furthest I saw was Israel so far.
That's amazing.
Joining, finding the Pickering Public Library and joining a story time.
It's one of those things where, there's no boundaries on the internet, but you don't get to experience it until you experience it. And it is kind of cool. I was doing a story time with Mastermind, and, people were like, you can see the sort of comments come up. And they were like, hi from BC, hi from Minnesota. And I was just like, oh, wow, that's so fun. And I was like, please tell me where you're from, because it was such an exciting thing to sort of see where people were coming from. So even though we're not close together, you can still sort of connect with people. And I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's a nice positive way of looking at it, and a nice, finding the silver lining in this situation.
I am a silver lining hunter. I really enjoy that. I'm very good at it. I think I'm good at picking out the sort of positive of things.
That's a good life skill to have. I appreciate it. I think
so too. I agree. I think you should people should always find silver linings and also go in with medium expectations, and I promise you'll not be disappointed in life.
Yeah, I like that. Keep your expectations in check.
Somewhere in the middle. Like, not in a pessimistic way, but, lower them a little bit. Like, aim for whatever you want, but keep your expectations kind of mid-range. And then just sort of find ways to enjoy the silver lining. And, it's easy to sort of turn a bad day around.
That's great. So I got to ask, have you considered writing a sequel to Teddy Bear of the Year in which Paddington, Corduroy, and Winnie demand a recount?
I mean, that would be really fun. And there is a lot of humor in the book. It's a sweet story, but and a lot of the humor comes through in the illustrations. And in fact, if you look very closely at the picnic scene, one of those bears, I won't say which one, might make an appearance. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say for like copyright reasons, and he's not exactly the same, but you'll know. I'll say he is wearing a red t-shirt, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay. I'm sure Disney's not listening into this show right now.
No.
We should be fine.
I mean, people could be calling in from Israel or Minnesota, but probably not Disney headquarters.
Probably not. I think they're probably pretty busy right now.
Yeah.
That is so cool. I can't wait to go check that out myself and try and find a little cameo like that. That's fantastic. All right. I've got to ask a really serious question now.
Okay.
I'd like you to describe your quarantine baking style. Failure baker, over baker, stress baker, or skip the dishes baker?
Can I sort of edit it to like cooking? I'm not really much of a baker, so I like sweet things, but I don't like to make them for myself, mostly because it's just me and the cat, and most of the sweet things I make would make the cat sick. And in fact, then I would just eat them all and make myself sick. So I'm really more of I don't want to say chef, that sounds like very highbrow, but I do like planning meals. So I would say that I'm like not quite ready for primetime chef, but I'm getting there. I'm pretty good. I've got some good knife skills. I'm pretty good with spices now. So yeah.
Have you tried anything new during the quarantine that you haven't tried before?
So I've been sort of choosing one new recipe a week. And then I sort of make a big batch of something on a Sunday, and then I sort of eat it throughout the week at lunch. So probably the fanciest, most time consuming thing that I did is a slow cooker version of Julia Child's beef bourguignon, which, I mean, it wasn't that time consuming in that most of it was in the slow cooker, but I don't cook with meat very much. And so that was a lot that was processed there. And I don't usually follow a recipe. I like to sort of be like, oh, that seems like it's good enough. But for this, because it was Julia Child, I was like, no, I'm going to follow this recipe. I'm going to time it. And it turned out really nice, actually. So that was the fanciest new thing that I tried.
Fantastic. Sounds really good. I just had dinner, but I'm getting hungry again now.
I mean, I could eat every few hours. So, and working from home has been interesting because my kitchen is essentially my office. So I'm quite close to all the things I need. And as we were talking earlier, and I'm also very close to the bathroom, which is where I go brush my teeth, which is one thing that sort of helps me stop between meals.
That's a good way of looking at that. That's right. My wife, she's the cook in the family, and so she's a self-described stress chef. She's been cooking and baking a ton. Yeah, which I'm thoroughly enjoying, but like you, working from home, I've just been eating all day long.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's a silver lining to live with a stress baker.
True. Absolutely. All right. So, gotta ask next. If you had a griffin, what would you do first? Go for a flight around the block or go for a flight around the block? Because I think I would probably go for a flight around the block. That's just me. I don't want to influence you.
I mean, I think you really have to figure out what kind of like flyer your griffin is. Like, are they a little bit wild? Do they need some training? Are they like, do they like to go really high, or are they sort of like danger seeking and like to stay close to like the roofs and the trees in the neighborhood? So I'd want to get a sort of a handle on that. And I think in a city, you're perfectly positioned to sort of figure that out. Because if you just have wide open spaces, I mean, where's the thrill in that? There's no thrill.
Yeah.
You got to have a little bit of danger.
Absolutely. Danger's my middle name.
Well, I was going to ask what the A stands for.
Oh, yeah. I guess I put it on the cover of all my
Or
books.
is it like a lowercase d Anger? Is that how it works?
That's what it is.
Okay.
That's what it
So.
is.
That makes
be
sense.
a little different and unique. Yeah, totally. Fantastic. In 2018, The Winnowing won the Red Maple Award.
Yes.
I had a really good seat to watch your victory speech since my novel Summer's End was also nominated.
Yeah.
I don't actually have a question here, but just wanted to take the opportunity to congratulate you again and tell you how much I loved that book and still do to this day.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about it.
It was one of the most exciting moments of my life. I know we're supposed to be very cool and collected, and as you saw, I'm not, and I never have been really. So, but it was just, I was so excited and so honored. The Winnowing is a book that I always sort of wanted to write. So I tell people that every book I write is a love letter to something else that I've liked. And I really love science fiction, which some people find surprising. I was a huge X-Files fan. I really love Star Trek Next Generation. I like reading science fiction. And so I wanted to write one, but I'm not really a plot-driven writer. I'm very much a character writer, sort of a mood or atmosphere writer. And so I wasn't sure that I could do it because it's a little bit more traditional. And because the timeline it's sort of an alternate history, really. I had to sort of do way more planning than I would normally do. So I liked that challenge. I like setting myself sort of different challenges for books. I get bored very easily, which is why all of my books are quite different. But it was hard and it was unexpected. But I was really happy with the end results. And I work with Anne Schoen at Scholastic, and she's lovely, and she really worked on it too. And it felt like such a team effort. And even though they've always been very supportive, I knew they would be supportive of the book. It felt like a little bit like a risk. I know sometimes in publishing, and I know this from my other part of my life where I work in publishing, that people like the same things. They like to say, this is the person who writes that. I can expect this from this person. And we're pretty good in Canada, I think, by allowing authors to try new things, and our audiences are good at that. It's not so good in the US. They really like to brand you. And so I was worried how people would react. I wasn't sure how it would land. And then it landed really well, which was so exciting. And I've had so many great conversations with kids about it. The ending is, it's a teeny bit open-ended, and I did that on purpose, and having fascinating conversations where some kids are kind of mad. Some kids assume there's a sequel. But I love that. Like, I personally love closing a book and feeling like the world is so rich that I'm still thinking about it. And sometimes when things are really definitively ended, it feels like a letdown. So I always try to, I think about it as I always leave a door open. All of my books kind of end on this story is done, but this story here could take off. And so I like that. And I was just so thrilled with it. And so to get acknowledged by the readers of Ontario is extra super special. The Forest of Reading program is so amazing for the kids, for the librarians. And as you know, I mean, you're a multiple nominee and winner. It's, really can change your life and your career as an author. And I don't take that for granted. And so I love the program, and it was a great day. And our friend Lauren Nicholson took a great photo of me. I'm very animated, so a lot of my photos are quite I don't know, my head moves in ways it shouldn't move. And she has this great, she truly captured my joy. And I was so joyful. And it was a cold, rainy day. But I remember specifically people being like, you're going to be cold in that dress. And I was like, no, I'm so excited. I don't feel the cold anymore. And it was true. It was such a great day.
I remember that photo. I think you've got it on your website now, too.
I do. It's my photo now. It's my author photo. I mean, normally they prefer just head and shoulders, but I'm like, no, I want you to see how far I can bend when I'm excited.
All our viewers, when we're done here, have to go check out Vicki's website to see the
That's
photo.
Right. You can
it's a great shot. It's a great shot. That's awesome. Yeah, there's nothing like the Force of Reading, for sure. That is such an incredible program, both for authors, for librarians, for kids, like you said. And I remember going to a lot of schools that year as well, and talking to so many kids that were huge fans of The Winnowing, which was amazing. It was one of the first books that I read when the nominated list came out as well.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I mean, you were an honor book as well that day. And I think what's great about the program is I go to a lot of schools, and for people who don't work with kids or write books for kids are very honest, as you know, and kids would say things to me. Even at the ceremony, they would say, oh, I really liked your book, but I voted for Alan Stratton. And I was like, you know what? That's fine. I understand. I get it. And the kids will tell you. We also have a booth. Penguin Random House has a booth at the Forest, so I get to chat with kids all the time. And they really agonize over which book to pick, and they discuss it. And that is so exciting to see kids talking about books at that level. I was at a school visit once, and I was early, and so there was a book club that was based on the Forest meeting, and they were sort of behind some books. They didn't really see me there, and these two girls got into an actual fight over a book. And on one hand, we shouldn't argue, and conflict is bad. But on the other hand, I was just so touched that they were both moved and just couldn't understand why they didn't see heads on why this book was better than that book. Like, it was one of those like grade 7 dramas that I was like, oh, I live for this. This is amazing.
That's right. I'll allow that kind of fighting.
Yes,
fighting
that kind is good.
Books and fiction.
Yeah, because it's really more of a debate, which is important.
Yeah. Debate sure, afterwards, they went for tea and totally made up and had a good time.
And they were on to the next book. So
exactly, the next fight too, probably.
And the next fight, definitely.
All right, well, I've got one more question. Once again, if you're just joining us, if anyone wants to ask any questions, please add them to the chat, and we'll get to that. But the last one I have for today is, you're frequently referred to as Canada's Judy Blume. What would you say to a child watching today who wants to be any country's Vikki VanSickle?
Oh, that's very sweet. I mean, I feel like I have a long ways to go before anyone really wants to do that. But I think the thing that, I don't know if it sets me apart, the thing that I really care about is I like to try new things in my writing. So every book is a little bit different. So you're not quite sure what you're going to get. I like to sort of explore the world and things that I'm thinking or feeling through books, and imagination. And so if you're interested in writing, having sort of exploring the world and sort of keeping that imagination and curiosity alive is what I hope people would associate with my books, and then something they could do.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's a really nice way to close out. Fantastic. Well, that just about does it for tonight's show. I have saved the most important part.
Oh,
the most important part of the entire show. Each week, I'm inviting my guests to show off their socks, because since the beginning of quarantine, there's been very little reason to wear shoes. I've only put on shoes about 3 or 4 times in the last month. Socks, therefore, have taken center stage. They're seen all day long. So I'm sure our viewers would love to see what we're wearing. I can go first. Give you time to prepare to show off your socks.
Okay, all right. I'll let you go first.
I gotta stand up for this, yeah. I gotta really get a good position here, make some space on my table, get my leg up here, and pull up my pants to show off.
Oh, those are very nice.
Thank you.
Classic, very bookish, very librarian.
You recognize them then, yeah. It's an old school, some of our younger viewers might not recognize it, but it's an old school library card catalog sock with a spot for author, a spot for title, a spot for the borrower's name, and even due dates. Because that's very important. I gotta say, as a librarian, very important.
Is that part of your librarian uniform? Like, does everyone at the Pickering Library have to wear?
No. I keep telling people that it should be part of the uniform, and people just look at me
or at least I think themed socks in general really suits the librarian profession.
There are a lot of us with themed socks and themed shirts.
So I think that's something that you have in common with kindergarten teachers. I've always deeply impressed with the range of sweaters and earrings that kindergarten teachers have, like the themes. It's something that I would buy a whole coffee table book on like kindergarten teacher sweaters.
Okay, wait, I'm making a note. This is $1 million idea. I didn't become a librarian. My other career was going to be kindergarten teacher. So it totally lines up. Your theory checks out. The math lines up.
You only live once, Joel. You can do whatever you want. After the quarantine, who knows what's going to happen? Time for a 3rd, 4th, or 5th career.
Why not? I can fit it in. I've got time.
Yes, of course you do. You're not busy.
No, not at all. Vikki, people at home are dying to see your socks.
Dying to see my socks. Okay. So I bought these socks particularly for Teddy Bear of the Year. So you might be able to see them there. Let's see if my yoga is paying off. We can see them this way. So these are Teddy Bear socks. And I bought them because when I do story times, especially in the winter, you take your shoes off and you sit on the ground. And little kids especially come quite close. And I remember the first time I did a story time at Moonbeam Books in Toronto, I remember looking at my socks and being quite distraught that they were very boring. I mean, they were clean, which is the number one thing. But then I thought, you know what? I need teddy bear socks. And so I went to get the teddy bear socks, and then the quarantine happened. So no one has seen them yet. So I'm so glad that I was given the opportunity to share my teddy bear socks with everyone.
This is so great. I never imagined when I started the show, and I thought, you know what? I don't know why this thought even popped in my head, but I thought I'm going to ask everyone to show off their socks at the end.
Yeah. Something in the air.
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be.
I also brought totally meant to be. Those are some great socks. I
Thank
love
you.
those socks. I also brought a stuffed friend, not a teddy bear.
Okay.
A stuffed friend I could show off too.
Please do. Oh,
This is a very on brand for me. Stuffed
very on brand for you.
with his little pumpkin.
He's got a little. It's like he's like, please come trick or treating with me. I'm such a sweet little spooky guy.
That's right. I hope quarantine's still not on in October, is what he's saying. He wants us all to go trick or treating. He's been here for the show, keeping us company as well.
I'm with him. I agree.
We have a few people saying hi. Shannon Howe Barnes loves the socks. She gave us
thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Shannon. Yeah. I appreciate it.
Shelley Macbeth as well for Blue Heron Books says, nice socks, Vikki. She loved your teddy bear socks.
Well, you know, I did my first virtual story time with Blue Heron Books. So they were sort of the guinea pigs or guinea teddies. Maybe that doesn't work so well, which was really great. And I'm so grateful that we were able to do that. They're such a great store, a big supporter of the forest as well, as you were talking about.
Totally. Absolutely. Yeah, they do so many amazing events as well year round. Just blown away by everything.
I mean, I never think about the outside, not where my head goes right away, but they do lots of fantastic brunches and things.
Totally. Evan Monday also said, hello, loves the show.
Hi, Evan. I'll see you at work tomorrow, virtually, of course.
And does this count as work time for him? I don't know. You guys work that out behind the scenes.
We'll figure it out. What is time, Joel? What is time?
There is no time anymore.
Time doesn't count. Yeah, we're in our own pandemic novel right now.
We are, absolutely. And Christy Jones-Dix as well says, hi, Joel, hi, Vikki. So,
hi,
hey,
Christy.
How's it going? Yeah. All right, well, that brings us to the end. Like I said, those are some great socks. That was a great interview.
I had so much fun. You're so good at this, Joel. I hope we get lots of people to do it.
I appreciate it. We have some pretty good guests lined up, too. I'll be announcing those in the days and weeks to come.
That's fine. We'll look out for it.
That. Yes. So in the meantime, everybody out there could order Teddy Bear of the Year or any of Vikki's other books from their favorite online bookseller, like Blue Heron Books, who's here joining us in the chat. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay home, wash your hands, read Canadian.
That's right.
Take care.
Bye, everybody. Bye, Joel.
Bye.
Bye, friends.